Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are the Wild.
The Twins have taken the fight to the Indians the first two games of this series. And now it's time for the Tribe to fight back if they want to hang in the postseason hunt. Cody Anderson has won 3 straight starts against the Central Division, and he takes on a Twins team just one game out in the wild card standings. It's next on Sports Time Ohio. It's another overcast night tonight in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the Indians and the Twins will finish out their 3-game series as the Tribe will look to avoid the sweep and get a win before they head off to Kansas City for a weekend series against the Royals. Hi again, everybody. Welcome in. Along with Rick Manning, I'm Al Pulowski, and so far this series for the Indians hasn't gone well. And Rick, for the Twins, it's been about a big inning, both games.
Well, and they continue innings. The Twins, a very pesky bunch. Last night it was Kluber, got the ball up in the 4th inning, and they took advantage of him. Brian Dozier hits a home run, his very first home run to right field. It didn't stop there. They started the extra base hits, and they continued it. The big 2-out base hit right there by Escobar made it a 4-0 ball game, and they did that in game 1 of the series. They scored 3 in the 3rd, 3 extra base hits. Last night, it was 4 in the 4th with 3 extra base hits, and they just have a way of getting that key base hit when they need it, and they've done it in the first 2 games of this series.
They sure have. So the Twins have taken the first 2 games. Michael Brantley is once again out of the starting lineup tonight, but Francisco Lindor is once again batting 3rd. We'll hear more on that in just moments when we come back with Andre Knott. It's the Indians and the Twins coming up here on Sports Time Ohio. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Target Field. Indians and Twins tonight. Final game of this three-game set as the Indians try and avoid the sweep. Francisco Lindor again batting third for the Indians tonight with Michael Brantley out. Andre, how about Frankie hitting third?
Look at what Frankie's been able to do. He has 110 hits since he was called up. That's the fourth most in the majors from his call-up date. And you look at what he's been able to do in the two-hole. If you remember, Terry Francona put him there basically to help him by putting him in between Michael Brantley as well as Jason Kipnis. But now that he's in the three-hole, it's something that the team can look at because he's shown power from both sides of the plate, and he's shown the ability to be able to drive the ball and push runners back and forth. I think, Rick, as you go forward, could you see Mr. Lindor as a three-hole hitter and maybe not a two-hole hitter as we go forward?
I certainly do, Andre. I absolutely believe he's going to be a number 3 hitter in the very near future. I know he's just a rookie, and you have Michael Brantley here, but when you look at this ball club, this kid, he's involved in everything. He's right in the center of anything that goes on offensively. This guy could hit third, and I would even think, you know, with Michael Brantley, the way he hits with runners in scoring position, you could move him fourth if you wanted to do that. You know, but as far as we don't have a legitimate home run hitter, but I think Brantley could fit in that number 4 hole, and I certainly believe Lindor could hit the number 3 hole. There's no question about that.
No, it's really a great problem to have. Too many number 3 hitters on a team. You'll take that.
You always take that. He's a switch hitter, so you wouldn't have the lefties, and Kipnis has done a nice job in the leadoff spot. I think it's easier to find a number 2 hitter than it is a number 4 hitter, you know, if you move those guys back. Now, for this, Lindor is still a rookie, and next year they're going to make adjustments, but I believe someday he will be there.
All right, it's the Indians and the Twins coming up in just a few moments. We'll take our final break right here. When we come back, Francisco Lindor and the Tribe trying to get a win here in Minnesota. Starting lineups and first pitch in moments. at Target Field tonight. The Indians and the Minnesota Twins finishing out this 3-game series, and the Tribe like to get a win. Let's take a look at our Indians lineup presented by Progressive Insurance. And tonight, same lineup except for one difference between last night and tonight. Chris Johnson gets the start, batting 7th. See the numbers there on Francisco Lindor as it goes Kipnis, Ramirez, Lindor, Santana, Gomes, Chisenhall, and Johnson, Almonte, and Aviles.
Kyle Gibson's our Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. And for Gibson, he is making his 31st start of the year. He has a record of 10-10 and an ERA of 3.73. He's a big guy, 6'6", sinker baller. He has a good slider and also a changeup. So if you see him with a lot of ground balls, that is why. He has a very good sinker. 26 ground balls he has induced hitters into hitting into. First start against the Indians this year. In his career, he's 1-1 in 5 starts, but a high ERA of 5.61. They have a few Indians that have some good numbers against Gibson, so we'll see if they can do anything tonight. The first 2 games of this series, the Indians offense has not been there. Let's set the Twins defense for you. Brought to you by Ram. Rosario in left field, Hicks is in center, Hunter over in right. It'll be Bloof at third, Escobar at short, Dozier is at second, Mauer at first, Suzuki doing the catching.
And the umpires for tonight's game at home plate: Bruce Dreckman, first base Alfonso Marquez, Tom Hallion is the second base umpire, Dan Bellino, who called the balls and strikes last night, is over at third. Jason Kipnis over in the on-deck circle, about to head out towards the batter's box to get this one started tonight. Again, it's overcast, but it's a little bit of a mist that's been falling on and off, but this is supposed to get stopped sometime soon here, Rick. Shouldn't be as bad as last night.
No, we were very fortunate in the last 2 days to dodge the rain, and I think we're very lucky.
So here's Jason Kipnis to lead it off for the Tribe. Kipnis 1 for 7 thus far in this Minnesota series. He takes ball 1 from Kyle Gibson. Last night, Kipnis led the game off with a single. Against righties this year, he's batting .331. Kipnis sends that one to left field. Rosario going back, still going back. That one is gone. Jason Kipnis, a leadoff home run for the Tribe as he goes opposite field. 1-0 Indians.
Boy, that ball seemed to keep carrying and carrying down the line. I looked out at Rosario, and he continued to go back to the wall, and it looks like it got right into the planter out there just over the fence. So a leadoff home run for Kipnis, his 9th. And that ball was upstairs, and he stayed on it nicely, gave it a ride. And let's see where it lands, because the Indians are going to play from in front tonight. Right there into the planter box.
That is the 4th leadoff home run for Jason Kipnis this season, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead. So you're right, Rick. Finally, the Indians get to play from ahead in this series. They haven't had a lead in the first 2 games here in Minneapolis as Jose Ramirez takes a ball, the count even at 1-1.
Well, that's the first home run Gibson has allowed since August 17th. That's spanning 6 starts and 42 1/3 innings. So he got that pitch up, and Kipnis made him pay. That's the one thing you want to do with this sinker baller.
And now 3-1 to Jose Ramirez. The Indians' third baseman tonight, hitting in the 2 hole with, again, Bradley out, so Lindor drops down to the 3 spot. That one off the plate, so Ramirez will trot down to first base. Still nobody out here in the first inning.
Well, he's off target. Get a look at the swing from Jason Kipnis. Look at that fastball up, out over the plate.
Take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Well, score some runs. So far, so good. And avoid the big inning, of course, because that's what the Twins have ridden to victory, both on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings here. They scored all their runs for both games in a single inning. Francisco Lindor with a couple of hits last night. Kyle Gibson keeping a close eye on Jose Ramirez. Rick, you and I were talking with Bert Blyleven, your former teammate and now Twins broadcaster, before the game, and how Kyle Gibson is so drastically different in the games he wins and the games he loses, with the ERA much wider than most splits in that situation.
It's about a 5-run difference. In his wins, he's down in the 2s, and then when you see him in the when he loses, it's up and around 7. There's no in between for him. And right now he's been a little shaky. The home plate is moving all over the place.
And generally, even when you lose, the ERA is still around a 4 or a 5 for most starters. So around a 7, above a 7 actually, is pretty significant. 1-1 here to Francisco Lindor with Jose Ramirez at first base. Still nobody out.
You know, Gibson has been pitching better in September. Look at the movement that he gets on the baseball. So in other words, if I'm a catcher, I sit down the middle and just let the movement take place.
Lindor fouls that one off.
He's missing his target. He wanted that ball inside. That one leaks away.
A little bit bigger crowd here tonight than last night. Trying to get behind Gibson as the Twins hurler looks for his first out tonight. Gibson appears to be very concerned with Jose Ramirez. He's 9 for 13 in stolen base attempts this year. Has a healthy lead at first base.
Twins are wrapping up a 10-game, 11-day homestand tonight, and they're trying to get back to the 500 mark. They struggled early. They were 1-2 against Detroit starting this series. Their homestand out 1-3 against the Angels. But they pulled it up close. They're 4-5 because of their 2-0 against the Indians in the first 2 games. They will head out to Detroit after this game, and then come to Cleveland for 4, their last road trip, and they'll come home and play the Kansas City Royals the last 3 games of the season. Well, this is about all you can do with that sinker going down and away. He just waits, and that was like an emergency swing, and he lives for another pitch. As I told you, Gibson has induced 26 ground ball double plays this year, which is very good. He's 1 pitch away from getting 2 outs.
There goes Ramirez. And a foul ball by Lindor once again.
Paul got a piece of Suzuki behind the plate. He was getting up to throw because Ramirez was off and running on the pitch. So he got out of his crouch unless he hit him with the bat. Let's see what happened. He was off and running. Let's see the follow through. Oh, well, there it is, right there on the follow through. That bat got him right on the mask. He's got to take a little.
We'll go talk to his pitcher Kyle Gibson, but this is more for Kurt Suzuki.
No question. He's just going out there to kill some time.
Now, Bruce Dreckman, the home plate umpire, looked over to the Twins bench and he said, hey, you guys better come out and take a look at it.
You see, those catchers are tough. They know they're coming out, so they just start jogging back.
Yeah, he says, I'm fine.
Yeah. You know that one, that hurt.
Yeah.
Certainly unintentional.
Right. We saw Kurt Suzuki and Francisco Lindor. A little exchange there. So I think you said, I'm sorry, Kurt. Didn't mean it. Well, Gibson has thrown 14 pitches. Still looking for his first out. See if Ramirez is running again. This time he stays put, and Lindor punches it into left field for a base hit.
Yeah, it was a terrific at bat. He stayed up there and he fouled off some really tough pitches to get one that he can just slap the other way. He stayed away, and Lindor makes a pay here. Look at, he was just trying to play pepper with the baseball and hit it through the left side. So the first three have reached for the Indians here in the first.
That'll bring Carlos Santana to the plate, who was only 1 for 10 in his career against Gibson, but that one hit is a home run. Carlos provided the only offense for the Tribe last night in the 9th inning with the 2-run homer. Let's take a look at our Kia in the driver's seat. Carlos Santana. He likes hitting here at Target Field. One and one now to Santana as the Indians look for a big first inning. 1-run home on the Jason Kipnis solo shot to begin the contest tonight. And Jose Ramirez walked. Francisco Lindor a single. Carlos Santana. See if he can drive at least one of them in here. Right back up the middle and went off of Gibson. And he still was able to just get Santana at first, so the kick save probably saved a run. That was ticketed for center field.
No doubt about it. And he was able to get his first out of the game. Tough way to go. It looked like it got him on the shoe, somewhere on the spike, and it deadened it enough to where it didn't roll far enough away, so it hit him solidly. Let's see. Yeah, right off that left foot. Just goes to the back of the mound, and he found it, gets it, and Santana's out, but the runners move up.
That'll bring Yan Gomes to the plate. And Gomes has had a lot of success against Gibson. 5 for 9 in his career with a couple of home runs.
Yeah, and this is usually when Gibson gets tough. Opponents just a .213 batting average with runners in scoring position, so it should be a good matchup.
Strike one to Yan Gomes.
Always nice to get your first at bat. You have an opportunity to hit with runners in scoring position. It's like a free at bat. Infield back, they're giving you the run. It's a matter of just getting it in play.
That one low, good block by Suzuki. Gomes comes into tonight on a modest 4-game hitting streak. All 4 games he has at least one double. Swing and a miss for Gomes. So now Gibson ahead of the Tribe catcher. And a swing and a miss. So a big strikeout there for Kyle Gibson, his first one tonight. And now there are 2 away.
Goes back to the slider. He swung at that pitch twice in that at bat. That one was out of the zone. Got him to chase the breaking ball. Gets a big second out. Trying to keep it just a 1-run inning.
So here's Lonnie Chisenhall. 1 for 7 in this series. He'll try to deliver with 2 outs. And he takes a pitch low and away for a ball. Lonnie Chisenhall this year with runners in scoring position is batting .280. He has that opportunity right here. He hits that one in the hole to right field, a base hit. One run is in. Here comes another. Hunter's throw home, not in time. The Indians score 2 with 2 outs. 3 thus far for the inning, and it's a 3-0 lead.
Well, exactly what they needed. A big 2-out base hit, and Chisenhall gives it to them. That's something that the Twins have had the last 2 nights, but they put that base hit there. It gives them a crooked inning. It's going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. A little sinker down and away. Lonnie able to pull it in the hole between first and second. Though for Chisenhall, he has his 43rd and 44th RBI.
So a big 2-out base hit for Lonnie Chisenhall. And the Indians have 3 home here in the top of the first. Chris Johnson, the batter. Takes a look at ball 1 from Kyle Gibson. Boy, those 2-out base hits to add on, Rick, that really hurts when you're the opponent.
No question. Especially you do it in the first inning. You never let them settle into it. You know, you have an opportunity to get out of the inning, but you extend the inning. Minnesota Twins are a very good team at doing it. They did that in the first 2 games. Well, they're getting a taste of their own medicine. And before Cody Anderson even goes out, he's up 3 runs. You got to love that.
And there goes Chisenhall. Throw to second base is not in time. Lonnie Chisenhall with the steal. He's now 4 for 5 in stolen bases this year, and another runner in scoring position for the Tribe.
Going in head first, throws up there, but not before Chisenhall can steal the base.
Chris Johnson hitting .268 with runners in scoring position. See if the Indians can add 1 more run here. Two and 2 now to the Indians' first baseman. Went inside, so now the count runs full to Chris Johnson. Abe Almonte would be next. That went over the plate for strike 3. So Gibson gets 2 strikeouts in the first, but the Indians get 3 runs on 3 hits. It began with a Jason Kipnis solo homer. 3 runs for the Tribe. Twins coming to bat. In the top half of the frame, the Twins will see if they can answer Twins lineup is presented by Toyota. They're going with the exact same lineup they used last night. Hicks, Dozier, and Mauer. Miguel Sano again the designated hitter, followed by Plouffe and Rosario. Then it's Hunter, Suzuki, and Escobar in the bottom third.
Cody Anderson, the Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher. Anderson making his 14th start. He's won his last 3 in a row. He's been pitching very well. 2 against Verlander and 1 against Chris Sale his last 3 starts. He did make 1 start against Minnesota earlier in the year, and it was his tied for the shortest outing of the year. 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, and 6 runs.
Aaron Hicks, the leadoff man for the Twins, takes strike 1 from Cody Anderson. So Cody's first start here at Target Field.
This should be a good ballpark for him to pitch in. Cody in his last start went 6 2/3 against the White Sox, but uncharacteristically 5 walks. You know, normally he has much better command of the baseball than that.
That one driven to right by Hicks. Chisenhall moving over. Leaps, can't get it. It'll go off the wall. Hicks on his way to second base. He'll stop right there with a leadoff double for Minnesota.
Well, that ball hit right on the nose, and you can see Chisenhall making a valiant effort for it. He lost the glove and everything. He went down. He tried to get up quickly so he doesn't get a triple. He just missed the ball. It went over his glove and left the leather on the ground and retrieved the ball and got it in. It's going to be a double for Hicks.
So he's at second base with nobody out for Brian Dozier. He broke a scoreless tie last night in the 4th inning with a solo home run to right. His first home run to right field this year. Just off the plate for a ball. So 2-0 to Brian Dozier. He's 3 for 8 in this series with a double, a home run, and a couple of runs batted in.
Well, you can see 5 home runs against the Indians this year, and there's 4 other guys that have that distinction as well. Abreu with the White Sox, Jose. Miguel Cabrera. Abreu had 6. Cabrera 5. Hosmer has 5. And J.D. Martinez 5 as well. The one he hit last night was his very first homer of the year to right field. He normally pulls them.
3-0 now to the Twins' second baseman. That one there for a strike. On the ground to the right side.
He's got to beat him to the plate.
Will they get it to first to Anderson in time? No. Safe at first base. Anderson stopped just for a moment, and it cost him.
It sure did. You know what? He started to break off, but he hesitated. You know, and he forgot that hey, I've got to cover first base in that situation. You watch him. It was a cue shot off the end of the bat. He stopped, and then he realized, oh, I've got to get there. That's my first baseman. And he does beat him to the base, so it'll go as an infield single. Good hustle by Dozier, but it's just that lack of concentration right there by Anderson. Makes it first and third, nobody out.
So Twins at the corners for Joe Mauer. So after the Indians put up 3 in the top half of the first inning, the Twins trying to answer right back.
You know, that's one of the few times I think is okay if you're a base runner to try and go in there head first at first base, because the pitcher was coming over. He was a little tardy. Most times you don't like to see that. A lot of runners will do that, but that's one time where you can do it in that situation.
Infield looking for the double play ball. One and one to Joe Mauer. Mauer 2 for 6 in this series. Has a run batted in from last night's game. He hits that one in the air to shallow center. Almonte will make the catch. Hicks is tagging. Here he comes. Here's the throw home, and he is out at home plate. Good throw by Almonte. Good tag by Gomes. And that's a nice double play.
Boy, is it ever. I mean, he stayed behind the ball beautifully, and it was to shallow. I thought that actually Hicks was going to stop after he got a break, and he looks back, and he sees it's coming, and you can see a beautiful one-hop throw. If Gomes tagged him, I think they may want to check that out. Didn't know if he got him. I don't think he ever tagged him, to be honest with you, Al.
Awfully close.
But they're not going to challenge. I don't see him coming out of the dugout. It's hard to tell right there. Really hard to tell.
Here's the best angle.
Oh, he got him right on the backside before he hit the plate. He's out. Nice throw, nice play.
Nice job, guys, getting that shot. Bruce Dreckman with the correct call at home, and Twins go from first and third with nobody out now to a runner at second base as Dozier moved up on that throw with 2 outs for Miguel Sano. And a big defensive play early tonight for the Tribe.
Beautiful play. Not too many times that ball was shallow. He stayed behind it nicely and gave Gomes a nice one-hop feed where he was able to come back and tag him.
Gotta love those 8-2 double plays.
Yeah. Well, in that situation, you love any double play.
1-1 now to Miguel Sano as Cody Anderson looks to get out of this inning with no damage. Two and one to the Twins rookie. Miguel Sano is batting .331 this year here at Target Field. He loves this ballpark. To short, Lindor gobbles it up, throws him out. So the first 2 Twins reach, neither one scores. We go to the second inning. 3-0 Tribe.
Catch Indians baseball with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcast, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
There's Michael Brantley once again out of the starting lineup tonight after injuring his shoulder on Tuesday here, making a diving attempt at a ball in left field. Still listed as day today as Abe Almonte comes to the plate. He made that throw to get Aaron Hicks just a few moments ago.
What a throw it was.
1-1 to the Indian center fielder. It'll be Almonte, Aviles, and Kipnis. Hitters 8, 9, and 1. Kyle Gibson have a little bit of trouble finding the strike zone in the early going. 33 pitches, just 19 for strikes. And now it's 3-1 to Almonte.
Yeah, he is all over the place.
Now, we were talking recently too before today's game how he's looked so much better the last couple of months.
Yeah, he's had a pretty decent September. He's been pitching well. He's been keeping the ball in the park.
That one hit on the nose, but right to Rosario for the first out. Here's our AT&T U-verse rewind. Let's take a look at this throw and then the tag. Almonte to Gomes for the out at home.
Yeah, look at that. That's a nice one-hop throw where you hit the grass. It skips right to Gomes. He has time to get it. Well done. And boy, he just barely got him.
Mike Aviles, the batter, pops one up, foul ground, headed towards the dugout, and that one will get out of play. Now we just saw Michael Brantley in the dugout. Andre, what's the latest on Dr. Smooth?
Things are slowly but surely getting better for Michael Brantley. He hit in the cage today. He's getting closer to play. Terry playing for sure tomorrow, but he said there's a chance he can play tomorrow.
Now we hope to get him back, of course.
I think those guys are sabotaging your microphone down there, Andre.
They've been getting after him all season.
Yeah, they have.
One of the interviews we had with him last week at Progressive Field, Rick, when we had a little roundtable going, the virtual roundtable. He had to have Mike Sarbaugh's batting helmet on just to be safe. That went on the outside corner for a strike. 1-2 to Mike Aviles.
Thought that helmet was for his desserts.
The extra large ice cream.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot of ice cream. Aviles goes down swinging for the third strikeout tonight for Kyle Gibson. 2 outs here in the second. All right, let's go back to Andre. Now, what's going on with the helmet here?
Well, the helmet had to be taken off. I had to get my Dairy Queen fix in early, but not late, so don't worry about me. Rick, I saved you some for the plane for later on.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You know I always got you. Michael Brantley did hit in the cages earlier today. He did some soft toss yesterday. Tito said he's not going to say he's going to play tomorrow, but they hope by the end of the weekend he can play. But so far, things have been much better than they thought they were originally when he got the injury a couple nights ago here in Minnesota.
Very good. So Andre
back to ice cream.
Yeah, took the helmet off. Does that help this time when there's a little interference on the mic with the Jeff some metal in that helmet?
I put a little too much carbo on there. Don't worry about it.
Well,
2 outs
that
for
is
Jason
good news
Kipnis.
because when he made that dive for that ball, he landed it. It looked a little strange on that right shoulder when he landed over there in left center field.
Kipnis homer to lead off the game as Brantley looks out at his teammate. And a swing and a miss, so he's down on 3 strikes here. Pretty good inning this time for Kyle Gibson as the Tribe goes 3 up, 3 down. 3-0. We head to the bottom of the second. window systems weather for tonight. Game time temperature 67 degrees. Scattered showers, though, as we move throughout the evening, the chance of those lessen. Right now, for the first time in what seems like a long time, going back to last night, it's not raining. Here's Trevor Plouffe to lead it off in the second, showing bunt, taking a strike. Now, he showed bunt last night, Rick. Took the first couple of pitches. They were both balls. The next one was right down the middle. He took that one, too, but then he went to swing away. So, is he seriously considering bunting, do you think?
No.
I don't think so.
He wasn't yesterday. I mean, he was just taking a pitch, getting a look at it. You know, with Kluber, he had about 7 RBIs off him before.
Plouffe 3 for 4 last night, 3 for 8 in the series. It's down in the count here, 1-2. Now, when you have a guy with the success that he has and the power he has, doesn't make a lot of sense, especially leading off an inning.
He's just trying to bring those guys in a little bit. He's not going to bunt.
And they're not biting as the infield is on the edge.
The old saying is, all right, if you want to bunt, who's going to run for you? Well, now there goes a called third.
First strikeout tonight for Cody Anderson. One away here in the second inning.
Let's check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker, right down at the knees at the plate. We'll see if that stays consistent tonight. That's maybe a little low.
One out for Eddie Rosario. Twins left fielder takes a strike, hitting number 6 in Paul Molitor's order tonight. Rosario 0 for 7 in the series. Quickly, Anderson jumps ahead of him, 0-2. Waste that one. Swing and a miss. Cody Anderson begins the second inning with a couple of strikeouts.
Well, now we have an opportunity. Let's check out the Indians defense for you tonight behind Cody Anderson. It's brought to you by Ram. Aviles left, Almonte center, Chisenhall right. Ramirez at third, Lindor at short, Kipnis at second, Johnson at first, and Gomes catching.
Here's Torrey Hunter to the plate. Saw his 10-game hitting streak end last night. And he checks his swing. Didn't want to, but grounds it right to Kipnis. And it's an easy inning for Cody Anderson. 3 up, 3 down for the Minnesota Twins. 3-0 Tribe as we head to the third here at Target Field.
our push for the wild card with $10 bleacher seats in our final homestand next week. You watch the Tribe take on these Twins for 4 games. The Red Sox will come in and close it up for 3. And all the seats out there in the bleachers, $10. Get your $10 bleacher tickets at Indians.com.
Third inning here at Target Field. The Indians will send hitters 2, 3, and 4 to the plate. Ramirez, Lindor, and Santana. Jose drives that one to the gap in right center field. That'll get down for a base hit. Ramirez on his way to second base. He'll make it easily with a double. And Jose Ramirez has reached both times he's come to the plate so far tonight.
I thought that might have a chance to get to the wall, but they cut it off. But it will be a double, so a leadoff double. Another opportunity here to add one here in the third inning. You see Hunter cuts it off on the backhand, so it's an automatic double there for Ramirez. His 12th.
So he's at second base with nobody out here in the third for Francisco Lindor. And he hits that one back up the middle for a base hit. Ramirez coming around third base, and they will hold him right there as the throw is way over Suzuki's head.
That's why you back it up as a pitcher. That is exactly why you back it up. Now, it didn't look like Ramirez got a good jump on the play because it comes right back up the middle. You see, he hesitated to make sure the ball goes through, and that was enough to make Sarbar hold him up. So Lindor 2 for 2.
Now let's take a look at yesterday's great clip of the game. Carlos Santana providing the offense in the 9th with a 2-run homer.
There was an interesting story after that pitch, too, that maybe later in the game we could talk about.
Now, Mr. Perkins wasn't too happy with that whole
he walked into the umpire to grab that baseball and had something to say to him, and he felt he had Santana struck out, but at the end of the game he was thrown out of the ball game and when it was over.
Santana drives that one to deep right. Hunter is back, looking up. It is gone. A 3-run homer for Carlos Santana. And the Indians open up a 6-0 lead.
Well, the home run last night, the home run tonight. He is now tied with Jose Bautista for the most home runs hit in this ballpark as a visiting player with 11, and that's a 3-pointer. Well, that's a big one there, and it makes it a 6-0 ball game. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, Gibson scuffling. He had not given up a home run in over 40-some innings coming into the night. Given up 2 already.
So the Indians, who offensively were stymied on Tuesday and Wednesday, break out here in the early going tonight. 6 runs on the board, still nobody out in the third inning. A 1-1 count to Yan Gomes, who struck out his first time up. But there it is, Rick, what you were talking about.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yes, indeed. He loves. He hasn't done much to the Twins this year, but last night he hit the home run. It was 2 outs in the 9th. They were down 4-0, but he got a 2-run homer, and this one adds to a lead and makes it a 6-0 game.
So a 2-run homer last night, a 3-run homer tonight for Santana. And Gomes with a base hit up the middle, so the hit parade continues. The 7th base hit for the Tribe tonight, and he's aboard with nobody out.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is one of those nights where the ERA is going to be a 7 for him. Ryan Dunsing up in the pen, and Gibson is not long for this game.
Well, I'll go out and talk to Gibson, but he just hasn't had it tonight. So the Indians with 6 runs on the board. Gomes at first base with nobody out. And this is the offense we saw before this series. Rick, I mean, the last couple of nights wasn't there. Tonight it is.
No, it was. I mean, they scored 3 runs, and like I said, the last 2 coming with 2 outs in the 9th inning. They were going to be shut out, but they got on the board. But tonight, that you get the lead early for whatever reason, and they seem to be a different ball club. And Chisenhall, the straw, got that big 2-out base hit to drive in a pair and make it a 3-0 ball game in the first, and then it was after that another 3-pointer.
And here's Lonnie, who had that big 2-out base hit in the first inning and made the score 3-0 at the time as he drove in 2. Well, bad here.
Yeah, this is the big hit right here to make it a 3-0 ball game between first and second. 2 guys on, they come in to score. That hurt Gibson right there. He had a 1-2-3 second inning, but came out and then was a double, single, homer before you knew it. It wasn't many pitches.
He throws another wide one, Rick, and again, that command that Kyle Gibson typically is pretty good with his command, but not tonight. Now he fouls that one straight back. So 1-2 for the Indians right fielder. Paul Molitor just hoping that Kyle Gibson can find it again here in the third. He's throwing 52 pitches.
Yeah, you're only in the third inning.
Lonnie lifts that one to center. Shallow. Out goes the shortstop. Escobar will make the catch. That was Plouffe who made the catch. He was over there in the shift. So 1 out here in the third inning. That'll bring Chris Johnson to the plate, who struck out his first time up. He swings and misses there. Well, it has been interesting for Gibson tonight. First inning, big struggle. Second inning, 3 up, 3 down quite easily. Third inning here gets the 3-run homer up to Santana, but now gets the pop out and looks better on that pitch to Johnson. Talk about up and down.
Well, yeah, the first 3 reached in the first 4 reached here in the third.
And it's 0-2 now on Chris Johnson.
Well, any way they look at it, Minnesota tonight, whether it's with Kyle Gibson, if he remains there, or it's going to be a bullpen game, they're going to have to throw zeros up from this point on and keep it a 6-0 game to see if they can do anything with Cody Anderson out there. Because the Indians, they could have a field day here.
1-2 to Johnson with Yan Gomes at first base. Johnson able to check his swing. 2-2 now. Now inside, so from 0-2 to 3-2 to Chris Johnson.
Well, if he doesn't get Johnson, I would have to think he is out of here. I don't know how much more Paul Molitor could watch.
Johnson stays alive. Well, he was on the top step of that dugout, back down after that foul ball. There's Carlos with that 3-run homer earlier this inning. And Chris Johnson looks at strike 3, his second strikeout tonight for Johnson. 5th overall for Gibson. And now there are 2 away.
Well, he gets the call. It's outside. Is it high enough? There it is. He's been calling the low strike tonight. It had the plate. So he gets the second out of the inning.
Now Almonte, who lined out to the left fielder Rosario, his first time up back in the second inning. Hit it well, but right at him. That went a little inside for ball one. Two 2-0 to the Indians center fielder. Mike Aviles on deck. Almonte acquired from the San Diego Padres at the trade deadline for Mark Zipchinski. Now 3-0, and then once Michael Bourne was traded, that opened up a position in center field, and he's taken advantage.
Yes, he certainly has. Came out in that first game he had against these Minnesota Twins. It was a monster game, 4 for 4. Well, we'll see. He's got to come out of that dugout, doesn't he?
Here he comes.
Yeah. He can't watch anymore.
Almonte walks on 4 straight pitches, and that will be the end of the night for Kyle Gibson. Can't make it out of the third inning. He goes 2 2/3. He gives up 6 runs on 7 hits. And the 2 still on base are his responsibility. It's the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. We'll tell you about Brian Dunsing when we come back. His evening is over in the top of the third inning with 2 outs and 2 on, and left-hander Brian Dunsing is the new Minnesota pitcher.
Well, this left-hander always seems to be in a ball game when the Indians are playing the Twins. He is 4-1 this year, but a high ERA for the left-hander. 43 innings, 23 strikeouts.
He's made 290 career appearances out of the pen, 61 starts. He's 4th on the Twins all-time games list by a left-hander, 351. So he delivers ball 1 to Mike Aviles. Trails Everyday Eddie that we talked about last night, Eddie Guardado, 648, and Jim Cott and Glenn Perkins. Aviles struck out his first time up. He's ahead in the count here, 2-0. Mike Aviles with runners in scoring position this year, hitting .244. He drives that one to left field. Rosario going over, makes the running catch. It's Mike Aviles hit it right on the nose, but he's the third out. But the Indians get 3 more here in the third thanks to Carlos Santana and his 3-run homer. 6-0 Tribe. They're at Target Field tonight. Jim Murphy producing, Pat Murray directing, along with Andre Knott and Rick Manning. I'm Al Pulowski, in for Matt Underwood tonight, who is under the weather. Hope Matt feels better soon. Hitters 8, 9, and 1 in the Minnesota lineup here in the bottom of the third inning. Suzuki, Escobar, and Hicks.
Well, they're going to go through their order for the first time. The Indians have already hit twice through the order.
First 2 Minnesota Twins reached, Hicks and Dozier. Since then, no one has.
No, that was a big play on Bauer, the double play ball. 8-2. Almonte with a terrific throw that stopped them from answering that 3-run first inning. And the Indians able to come back and add on.
Suzuki lines that one to left field for a base hit. Aviles trying to get over to cut it off. It'll hold Suzuki to a single. Good throw by Mike to get it in. The Twins have their leadoff batter aboard here in the third inning. Let's take a look at our Kia in the driver's seat. Cody Anderson. Some numbers on his last 4 starts. Very impressive.
They were like his first 4 when he was called to the big leagues. 178 ERA. 10 walks, 5 of them coming in his last start. But they're hitting just 198. He's done a nice job.
Eduardo Escobar, the batter. Shows bunt, takes a strike. Escobar 2 for 6 in this series against the Tribe. Gets that one to right. Lonnie Chisenhall makes the catch for the first out. Andre joins us again down on the field. And Andre, you learned some interesting things about Cody Anderson hanging out in that clubhouse, and he's fit in quite well here, that's for sure.
No, absolutely he has. You know, you look back at the start that he had against Minnesota, where he struggled and gave up 6 runs in 2 2/3. He ended up straining his left oblique, but something good may have came out of there. He said he found a mechanical flaw that he fixed in his motion while he was sidelined with that. The other thing is, now this may be something Manning can fix to help us with later on. Cody on a good night goes through 3 jerseys and a couple hats because he sweats so much. I don't know how you packed, Rick, but we may need another jersey for you by the end of the night.
I'll tell you what, he's we saw that the other day on one of his starts where it was just dripping off his hat. He's one of those guys that, you know, there's a few around. Fausto Carmona was one of them that we saw that the sweat just drips off him. And it's not that hot tonight. It's relatively a nice night. So if he goes through 3 jerseys tonight, he is a sweating machine.
Aaron Hicks pops out for the second out, bringing Dozier to the plate. Did you ever do that, Rick? Did you ever change your jerseys?
Once yeah, when you in the summertime. There you go. That was in Toronto, where he was just that was indoors. That's where it was.
Dozier with a single his first time up, looks at strike 1.
I had a guy when playing with me, used to be Jim Bibby. Was one of those guys, a starting pitcher where, you know, you get into the heat of the summer and you're just sitting out there and it's just like a pool of water.
That one just foul. Yeah, it looked like he had a faucet on the bill of his cap, Jim Bibby.
Well,
start 2. You know, the other thing about the sweating problem that he has is I think the last start it helped him throw more off-speed pitches. If you remember, he couldn't get a good grip on his fastball because his hand was so sweaty and so wet. So Yangon start calling off-speed pitches. And Rick, I think both of you guys, as we've watched him, and when Cody gets the off-speed stuff going, with something that curves, he becomes a much better pitcher.
He is tough. Now that I think about it, Andre, that's why he walked 5 guys, if he couldn't throw his fastball.
Dozier deep to right, but Chisenhall has room to make the catch. So Dozier tried to make a bid for an opposite field home run for the second straight night, but it wasn't to be. Twins go in the third quietly. Indians up 6-0.
Well, come on out to the new Corner Bar, which is open to all fans at Progressive Field. The $13 district tickets presented by Sports Time Ohio, available for the final homestand next week. Tickets available only at Indians.com.
We move to the 4th inning here at Target Field. The Indians up 6-0. Top of the order, Jason Kipnis, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor do. It's the 4th inning, and your leadoff hitter is at the plate for the 3rd time. That's a sign of good things.
That means you've got a lot of runs on the board.
Brian Dunsing came in relief of the starter Kyle Gibson in the last inning. Recorded the final out. Oh, 0-2 to Jason Kipnis, who began tonight's game with a solo home run, his 9th of the year.
Hit him
inside. Yep, got him on the hand at 0-2. So Kipnis hit by pitch. Head down to first base, but before he does, Terry Francona and the training staff will take a look at him.
Well, he was looking for something out over the plate, and Dunsing didn't want to give him anything out over the plate. They wanted to go inside. This one was up a little bit, and Kipnis wasn't going to give any ground, so it gets that bottom hand on the bat.
Kipnis at first base, flexing that hand. So the Indians again with their leadoff batter aboard here. Fourth inning for Jose Ramirez. It's 1 for 1 tonight with a walk and a double. He scored a couple of runs. He'll swing around at bat from the right side against Dunsing. Well, Brian Dunsing, who historically has been tough on left-handers, they're batting just .238 in their career, has struggled this year. Lefties are hitting .305 against him, while righties are batting .230. Two and 0 now to Jose Ramirez. Sends that 2-0 pitch into the seats foul.
.20 pitch, that's one you want to sit on and be very disciplined as a hitter. I think he might have helped him out. You know, just because it was a 2-0 pitch, you got to lock in and make sure you get your pitch or you take it. I think he helped him out. He might have swung at a ball there.
Swings and misses there. 2-2 now to Ramirez. On the ground to short. Escobar to Dozier over to first base. 6-4-3 double play. 2 quick outs here in the fourth. And while we have a moment, let's go back to our studios in Cleveland for a Mazda game break. Here is Jensen Lewis. All right, Jensen, and Moustakas hits that 7-iron just a touch better than you do, but not by much.
He's able to keep it in play.
And Jensen hit a few foul balls on the golf course, but he is an exceptional putter. Now, right now, things stay the way they are with Kansas City in the lead over Seattle, 2-1 in the third, and the Indians hold on here. Kansas City would clinch the Central. Not that there's much doubt, or has been since midway through the season, as Kansas City has been in control of the AL Central, but tonight it could become official. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 2 tonight with a couple of singles and a couple of runs scored. And he lines that one to right center field for a base hit. That one will go to the wall. Lindor on his way to second base. Thinking about 3. There he goes, looking for the triple. The relay is not in time as the ball gets away. And it's a triple for Lindor, who's taken to that 3-hole very well.
That ball hit Lindor. It skimmed off him as he was going head first, or he would have been out. So he caught a break there. The throw comes up and deflects off him, and it goes up off the defender. If you watch, he was hustling all the way, though, going to right center field, his 3rd consecutive hit. And he's going to stretch it right here. There's 2 outs. He could have stayed in scoring position, but he's going to third. He's chugging. And that ball deflected up, and you see Plouffe. They get it in. 2 good throws. You got him. There's Dozier. You see where it hit him? It hit him right on the backside and deflected up as he was going into his head first slide, maybe on the foot. But he gets into third base, and it goes as a triple. That's 8 hits now.
Now Lindor, for the first time in his major league career, hit third last night. He got 2 hits. He was 2 for 4. Tonight he is 3 for 3. So I think he's liking that middle of the order. A couple of runs scored as well. Just a dynamic hitter, and as he matures and gets even better, that's what's scary for everyone else. But
well,
in Cleveland, it's something we're going to love to watch.
No, look, the league will make adjustments to him, but he's off to a tremendous start.
Now Santana, who hit a 3-run homers last time up, hits that one hard, but right to the shortstop. Escobar throws him out, so the Indians retired in the 4th. We'll head to the bottom half. It's still Indians 6, Twins nothing. With your strongest fan photo, all you have to do is use the hashtag STODataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Indians with a half dozen in the run column tonight. They're up 6-0 on the Minnesota Twins. Cody Anderson working into his 4th inning here. He'll face the heart of the Twins order, Mauer, Sano, and Plouffe. Mauer hit into that 8-2 double play we were talking about when Twins had runners at first and third back in the 1st inning. Nobody out. Flew out to Almonte, who then threw out Aaron Hicks trying to score. It's 0-2 to Joe Mauer.
That's a rarity there where you don't see Mauer many times pulling foul balls, over towards his dugout. A lot of times he sits, he waits on a ball, he usually hits him the other way, third base side.
Go.
1-2 to the Minnesota first baseman. So one thing with Mauer, it seems you can get ahead of him. 0-2, 1-2.
Oh, yeah.
But he can work a count.
He's a good 2-strike hitter. He's got a great eye at the plate. Michael Brantley, a lot like that. You get to 2 strikes, and these are tough guys to put away because they rarely chase bad pitches.
Right back to Anderson, who made the catch.
How about that? Oh boy, when you're a hitter and you see that ball, you say base hit, and before you know it, it goes right into his glove, and he didn't even know it was there. Look what I found. Watch his glove after he gets rid of the ball. It's sitting right there, and he just sticks it out. He wants to get out of the way, but it goes right into the glove. Takes a hit away from Mauer.
Well, if the Lake Erie Monsters need a goaltender in the offseason, perhaps Cody Anderson can fulfill that role.
He's big enough to get into that net.
Miguel Sano, a big swing and a miss. He grounded out to shortstop his last time up. One and one to the Twins designated hitter. Now 1-2. And a swing and a miss. Third strikeout tonight for Cody Anderson, second out.
He worked him over pretty good there. With the fastball, saw a curveball, saw a changeup, and here's the changeup to get him to strike out. He's got an excellent changeup. That circle change goes down with great movement. It looks like a strike and then all of a sudden disappears. But the one thing about Cody Anderson, when he's around the strike zone, he's always throwing strikes.
And when you give him a 6-0 lead, it makes it even easier. Plouffe swings at the first pitch and hits it extremely high in the air. Lindor says, I got it. He takes it. Easy inning for Cody Anderson. 3 up, 3 down go the Twins. We go to the 5th. 6-0 try. Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. 5th inning here in Minneapolis. Indians a 6-0 lead over the Minnesota Twins. Tribe will send Gomes, Chisenhall, and Johnson to the plate. Hitters 5, 6, and 7. Against Brian Dunsing, who came on in relief of starter Kyle Gibson back in the 3rd inning. Gibson surrendered all 6 runs tonight as Yan Gomes hits it hard on the ground to 3rd. Trevor Plouffe throws across for the first out. Let's take a look at our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Jason Kipnis began the game tonight with a solo home run, and it was all good for the Tribe from there on out. 3 runs in the 1st, then 3 runs here in the 3rd inning. Carlos Santana provided them all with his 3-run homer. And it's 6-0 Tribe. Carlos now with the 11 home runs here at Target Field to tie him with Jose Bautista for most home runs by an opponent here at this ballpark. Lonnie Chisenhall 1 for 2 today. Single and a stolen base in the 1st inning. Popped out in the 3rd. 1-1 to Chiz. Seattle has come back in Kansas City. They've taken a 3-2 lead over the Royals in the fourth. Indians will be heading to Kauffman Stadium after tonight's game for a 3-game set this weekend as Chisenhall lines that one, but right to Dozier for the second out. So the Indians continue to hit the ball hard, but the last two right in Minnesota Twins. That'll bring Chris Johnson to the plate, who struck out his 2 times up the first and third innings. All 3 of those Indians-Royals games this weekend will be right here on Sports Time Ohio. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock first pitch. Indians live at 7:30. Dave and Jensen.
We have for a pitching matchup Carrasco against Edison Volquez tomorrow night.
Should be a good one. Two 2-0 to Chris Johnson. He's batting just .185 here in the month of September. Johnson overall since he's come over in the deal with the Atlanta Braves back on August 7th is hitting .333. Hitters count for Chris Johnson. This year batting .314 against left-handers. Last season in the National League he batted .395 against lefties. And he hits that one in the hole between short and third for a 2-out single. So Chris Johnson is aboard. He's 1 for 3 tonight. That's hit number 9 for the Tribe. Let's take a look at the injury report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk and Elk. Zach Greinke scratched from last night's start with the right calf. He is expected to pitch Monday at San Francisco. Look at the numbers on Zach Greinke.
Yeah, that's the highest ERA has been, 197. Sitting at 165. I mean, you got to go back to the 60s. 60, you know, when that era when the ERAs were so low.
Now, how would you like to be the Dodgers and have a couple of Cy Young contenders in Kershaw and Greinke?
Yeah.
The rest of that rotation isn't too bad either. Meanwhile, Minnesota Twins will make another pitching change as Brian Dunsing checks out. And we'll tell you about Boyer, who's coming in for him when we come back. 6-0 Tribe. Abraham Almonte, the Indians' number 8 hitter. 2 outs, a runner on first. 6-0 Tribe here in the 5th.
Boyer came off the disabled list right at the end of August. Missed 16 games with right elbow inflammation, but has done a decent job for him this year. He had 16 holds.
Almonte 0 for 1 with a line out to the left fielder. A walk in the 3rd inning. He's ahead of Boyer here, 2-0. Johnson at first. Now 3-0 to Abe Almonte.
Well, you got to make him get in the strike zone. You got to take one here.
Almonte taking all the way, 3-1. Foul tip. Count runs full. Kyle Gibson went 2 2/3 tonight. Brian Dunsing went 2 innings. All 6 runs the Indians have scored tonight came off of Kyle Gibson, the starter. And with the full count and 2 outs, Chris Johnson will set sail here on the pitch. Almonte grounds it to second. Dozier throws him out, and the Indians are done here in the 5th. We move to the bottom half. Still, Indians 6, Twins nothing. Bottom half of the 5th inning against Cody Anderson, Rosario, Hunter, and Suzuki. It's a Tribe fan that is happy tonight. Indians lead at 6-0. Cody Anderson has been pretty economical as well through 4 innings, just 43 pitches. First pitch swinging, but a foul ball by Rosario.
Well, you can see the Twins up there now because he is throwing so many strikes that he's settled in, found a groove that they're swinging early in the count. So he can have some small pitch innings.
After the first 2 Minnesota Twins reached, Aaron Hicks with a double, Brian Dozier with a single in the 1st inning. Anderson has retired 11 of the next 12. And he's ahead of Rosario here, 0-2. Rosario a strikeout victim back in the second inning. Anderson with 3 strikeouts, no walks tonight. That one off the plate for a ball. And a swing and a miss. Rosario chased one, and that's the 4th strikeout for Anderson tonight. One away in the 5th.
He will chase pitches around the strike zone. This is one that had a little more mustard. We saw him hit one out up there earlier in the year, but that had a little too much on it for him. They threw it right by him. He couldn't get to it, but he'll try swinging. He'll try to hit him.
That's fine. If you're a pitcher, you'll swing all you want at those.
You'll take your chances.
Torrey Hunter 0 for 1. Takes the ball. On the ground to first, Chris Johnson unassisted. 2 quick outs here in the 5th inning.
Well, Cody Anderson has really settled in, mixed in his fastball that's moving around, elevated the fastball a couple of times. They got a nice easy out there. Changeup. He dropped in a curve. There's a cutter. So he mixes it up. He's around the plate. He does exactly what you have to do. You go in, you go out, you go up, you go down, and you change speeds and you keep the hitters off balance.
And now for the 5th consecutive start in September, Cody Anderson has gone at least 5 2/3 innings. 1 out away from putting a 6 under the innings pitch category, and he's only thrown 50 pitches thus far. Kurt Suzuki with a single his first time up back in the 3rd. That one into the seats, foul. Those control pitchers like Anderson just love a lead. You get them in front, I'll just keep throwing strikes. Another one foul into the right field seats. Well, there you go, Rick. That's how good this pitching staff has been. Get them some runs, they'll get you some wins.
It's pretty easy when you look at it this way, but you get the starters 4 runs, 44-2. That's the 2nd best in the majors. It's the Pirates that have the best 53-2 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about that? And all those guys do is continue to win as well. They've won 5 or 6 straight.
They've had some great pitching this year as well. As Kurt Suzuki lines a single to left field, his 2nd hit tonight, so he's 2 for 2. It's only the 4th hit for the Minnesota Twins, so he's aboard with 2 outs for Eduardo Escobar. He flew out to right, his only time up, back in the 3rd inning.
Escobar earned that shortstop job that he's out there playing every day. They tried to give it to, if you remember, Danny Santana, a guy that played a little center field for him last year. They wanted him to take that job, but he just couldn't compete with him. He ended up going down back to the minor leagues, and Escobar ended up winning that job and has done a really good job for the Twins this year.
And that's what he's had to do. Escobar had to win this job. As you said, Danny Santana was the guy they thought about primarily. I don't think Minnesota necessarily saw Escobar as a starter. I think they originally thought he was going to be
a utility
player.
Right. Yeah, well, he proved him wrong. He goes up there, he's got that, that everyday attitude. He's got a lot of energy in the clubhouse. 30 doubles, 11 homers, 53 ribbies, and he's sitting down in the number 9 hole playing solid shortstop every day. Those are pretty good numbers.
outfield for a base hit. So the Twins coming with back-to-back singles to left here with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Now we'll go back to the top of the order and Aaron Hicks.
Nice job to keep it going. Goes the other way. Go inside out on this ball. They want to pitch him in. And look at that swing. That takes care of it right there. It was down enough. It made it. He just drops a barrel head of that bat and shoots it to left field. So they keep it going with 2 outs. And this is one thing that the Twins teams, they do. You know, it's hard to finish off innings. You got to work very hard to do it. He's been able to do it so far every inning but this one. But he has 2 outs. Going through the 3rd time. See if he can get the quick 3rd out here.
Aaron Hicks 1 for 2 tonight. He led off the bottom of the 1st inning with a double. Eventually was erased at home plate when he tried to score on a Joe Mauer fly ball. So he'll bat here with 2 outs and 2 on. And take a ball outside from Cody Anderson. There's a strike. 1-1 with the Twins center fielder. Hicks now 3 for 11 in the series. Checked his swing, and he did not. It's his 3rd base umpire, Dan Bellino, strike 2.
Yeah, he went. Did not hold up. Gomes. That ball gets away from him a little bit, not enough where the runners could advance.
One and 2 to Hicks. Gets that one hard to right field. Chisenhall moving over the plenty of room to make the catch. And the inning comes to an end. So Cody Anderson is through 5. Twins haven't scored yet. 6-0 Indians.
Today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Bauer. Visit Indians.com season tickets for your complete details.
There's Trevor hanging out in the bullpen. We move to the 6th inning here in Minnesota. Carlos Santana, a 3-run homer. Jason Kipnis, a solo homer. Indians up 6-0. It'll be hitters 9-1-2 here in the 6th against Blaine Boyer. We'll work into his 2nd inning of relief. It's the third Twins pitcher tonight. Vilas, Kipnis, Ramirez scheduled. Mike Vilas 0 for 2. Lined out to left back in the third inning. Struck out in the second. Checks his swing, and the soft liner is caught by Brian Dozier. First out here in the sixth inning. October means baseball, and FS1 continues to be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And another pitching change for Minnesota as Ryan O'Rourke will come into the game. We'll learn more about him in just moments. We'll take a break. Sixth inning. Indians in the lead, 6-0. Ryan O'Rourke.
Left-hander coming on for the top of the lineup. Holding oppositions to a .208 batting average.
You'll see Jason Kipnis led off tonight's game with the home run. Struck out in the second, hit by a pitch in the fourth. Jason Kipnis takes ball one. Kip checked his swing. 2-0 now. Spanning 249 against left-handers this year. Does have 3 of his 9 home runs against lefties. Three 3-0 the count.
This is exactly the way Boyer came in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Came in, threw 3 straight balls before he retired his first hitter.
There's a strike to Kipnis. Kipnis fouls that one off. Well, it's been a story of big innings this series, and that's been pretty much it. The Twins 3 runs on Tuesday night in 1 inning, 4 runs last night to win it 4-2, and then tonight the Indians 3 runs in the first, 3 runs in the third. So both teams have had 2 big innings so far in this series. Indians have used them both here in this one. Kipnis will walk on that pitch, just a little bit high. Yeah, Bruce Dreckman flinched.
Well, take a look. We've seen it from this umpiring crew. We've seen pitches right down the middle called balls, so it doesn't surprise me tonight.
I thought Dreckman's been calling them pretty well tonight, pretty consistent.
He's been down. He's been a low ball umpire, so that one had to be high.
So Kipnis aboard with 1 out for Jose Ramirez, who's had a pretty good night. 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored. He's reached base twice, had a double back in the 3rd inning. Indians 6 runs on 9 hits. Twins no runs on 5 hits. Ryan O'Rourke's having some trouble finding the strike zone.
He got a second straight hitter, 3-0 count to him.
There's 4 straight wide ones. So Jose Ramirez will hit his second bases on balls. Second consecutive walk issued.
That's not going to endear you to your manager when he comes and brings you into a ball game and you
walk right now.
Your first 2 guys.
How about that? So Ryan O'Rourke comes in, walks 2 batters, and Paul Molitor said, "That's it." So he's going to bring in Michael Tonkin. He'll be the 5th Twins pitcher tonight. We'll be back in just moments. It's still 6-0 Tribe in the 6th. Six nothing here in the 6th inning after Ryan O'Rourke walked a couple of batters. Michael Tonkin comes in to face Francisco Lindor, who's already had 3 hits tonight.
Yeah, one going between short and third, one going back up the middle. And this one, let's go back up to right center field. And he ended up getting a triple.
So Frankie 3 for 3 tonight. Couple of runs scored as well. For the 2nd consecutive evening, hitting in the number 3 hole as you get a look at the numbers on Michael Tonkin. So let's take a look at our Levin player profile and Francisco Lindor. How about 90 hits since the All-Star break, which is the most by an Indian since Victor did it in 2005. There's 10 3-hit games since the All-Star break, tied for 2nd most in the majors.
Yeah, he just continues to hit.
Takes strike 1 from Tonkin. Lindor has the average up to 323 now. So swings and misses there. It's the highest qualifying mark by any rookie in Major League Baseball, which furthers his case for Rookie of the Year. And he's down in the count, 0-2. One out with runners at first and second. Now 1-2 to Lindor.
Just in off the dish. Pretty good pitch.
Michael Tonkin thought he had strike 3.
Well, you look at it, they want to go inside, and it is in just off the plate. And I'll tell you, it's a good pitch. You see where Suzuki tried to bring it back a little bit? That's a good pitch. That's a good 0-2 pitch.
A swing and a miss. And for the first time tonight, the Twins retire Francisco Lindor. 2 outs in the 6th.
Well, you go inside on the 0-2 pitch, and you follow it up with a slider down and in, and you get him to swing over the top of it. So that was a really good sequence by Tonkin to get Lindor.
Carlos Santana to the plate. Last time he came up with 2 on, he hit a 3-run homer back in the 3rd inning. It's grounded out the other 2 times at the plate as that one gets away, and the runners will advance.
See what happens here on this pitch. It's coming in at some backhand. It'll probably be a wild pitch there. It looked like it got a little bit of the dirt.
So the wild pitch on Tonkin puts runners at second and third with 2 outs for Carlos Santana. Now 2-0 to Los with Yan Gomes on deck.
You're just going to put him on.
All right, so that'll load him up for Gomes.
It'll be the 3rd walk in the inning.
So Santana will head to first base, and Andre Yan Gomes this year, he has really delivered in some clutch situations.
Yeah, he's been great after the 7th inning, as we've talked about over the last couple of days. But as I talked to him tonight, he admitted after the injury early in the season, he came back and he tried to get it all back at once. He says he's finally hit his stride and feels like himself now. And you've seen that over the last 4 or 5 days as he's hit the baseball. And he just wishes we had more baseball left in the season so he could continue hitting the way that he's been hitting over the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, he's been very good in the month of September, and hitting with runners in scoring position late in ball games. He swings and misses there.
You know, sometimes it's just hard to figure out how he can do it later in a ball game, and like he had an opportunity earlier in this game, he doesn't do it, you know, let's say in the first 6. You know, when you look at his numbers throughout the year with runners in scoring position, just a 157 average.
Right.
You know, and he had an opportunity earlier and didn't get it done. But from the 7th inning on, I don't know what clicks, whether it's a mental thing or what.
It's that one to right center. Hunter going back. He'll have room. I'll make the catch. And the Indians retired here in the 6th inning. They still lead it 6-0. Indians up 6-0 here in the bottom of the 6th. The Target Field. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag STO Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. It's one from Progressive Field.
Yeah, out of the bleachers, huh?
Yeah. At Haley, very clever. Dozier, Mauer, and Sano due here for the Twins in the bottom of the 6th inning. Hitters 2, 3, and 4. As Cody Anderson works into the 6th inning. Brian Dozier tonight 1 for 2 with a single.
That single, it was because Cody Anderson didn't cover first base. He was a little late getting over there. Second hitter of the game after the leadoff double. But since that point, he's been very tough.
I put runners at first and third with nobody out at the time, but the Twins were unable to score. 2-1 to Dozier. Two and two. Foul ball will keep everyone awake down there. Flips that one foul into the seats. First base side. Brian Dozier with 28 home runs on the season. Foul at the plate. Not often you have a second baseman who's going to bat .238, hit 28 homers, driving 72 runs. It's usually a little higher average for the middle infielder types, but
this guy has surprising power. Can hit the high fastball. Also 37 doubles, 4 triples. He can steal 20. He has in the past.
And a base hit off Lindor's glove there as he was able to get leather on it but couldn't squeeze it. Second base hit of the night for Brian Dozier, 6th for the Minnesota Twins.
Ball seemed to pop out of the glove. I thought he might have a chance of catching it on the rebound. This ball was hit hard, ranging to right off the end of the glove of Lindor's left. Hits the end of the glove and pops straight out. He got leather on it, but couldn't control it. So it goes as a base hit for Dozier.
So the Twins with the leadoff batter aboard for the 3rd time tonight. Joe Mauer 0 for 2. He lined out to Cody Anderson his last time up, and as a courtesy hit it right to Cody's glove hand to make it a little easier.
As a courtesy, it's right. Don't think he was aiming there, but it was a ball headed up the middle, no doubt. It just happened to be right in the middle of the glove of Anderson.
Oh, 0-2 to Joe Mauer.
Watch where the glove is and watch this ball come straight through it. Cody says, I want to get my legs out of the way, but my glove stayed there.
Mauer stays alive. Including today's game, Anderson has dropped his ERA to 3.27 overall for the season. This is a guy who began the year at AA Acton.
Yes. It's been a great year for him. He's having a ball, and why wouldn't you? Getting up called up to the big leagues. He's been on a couple of nice rolls. Spent about 18 days on the disabled list. Had the oblique problem, but fixed something in his delivery and has been able to come back and really pitch very well.
Oh, and he came up. The Indians desperately were looking for that 5th starter. He fulfilled the role. Then when he went on the disabled list, Josh Tomlin took his spot.
Right.
He fulfilled the role. That's been
those two guys. I mean, you talk about if they could have had those two guys at the start of the year pitching like that as a number 5 man, because that was the big problem for the Indians. It was a number 5 starter for the first 2/3 of the year. But boy, these two guys have gone out there and they've been great.
And early June, the Indians were looking for just 1 5th starter. Now they've wound up with 2. Anderson and Tomlin both now key members of this rotation here in September.
Well, yeah, Carrasco, he went on the disabled list for a short stint, came back and struggled to get out. Kluber again, that was only his 2nd start, and he's not back to where he was after that leg problem. So these two guys have come in very, very handy.
Rick, what we were talking about earlier, Joe Mauer was down 0-2 in the count previously. The last time he was at bat, he worked it to full. Once again, he works an 0-2 count to 3-2. Here's Josh Tomlin.
Well, he's back and finally healthy again, and he's proving that.
We'll see him this weekend in Kansas City. On the ground to second, should be 2 to second for 1. Lindor on the first. Double play for Cody Anderson and the Tribe here in the 6th inning.
Well done.
Well, speaking of Cody Anderson, Andre, how about some more insight?
Well,
a man that's been so good this year.
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out to Terry Francona and everyone around the team is his work ethic. And you talked about he had that downtime after he went on the DL. And, the one thing Tito said is he's made himself into a major league pitcher. When you talk about where he was a year ago till today, they said his work ethic is bar none. One of the best on the team. He works his tail off. But also, once you tell him something once, he learns it, and he goes out and does it. And he's made himself into a guy that going into spring training, they expect him to be with this team.
This was a great experience for him getting up here, see how the guys do it. And, when you have a guy like Corey Kluber on your staff, if you don't watch him and how he goes through his routine, as oriented as he is, you got to be absolutely crazy. So that's good to hear that he's out there. He's a hard worker, and it's only going to be great for him for the future.
2-out single for Miguel Sano to right field. He's 1 for 3 tonight, so he's aboard with 2 outs in the 6th inning. And that double play just a moment ago that Mauer hit into, even bigger when the next guy comes up and gets a base hit. So here's Trevor Plouffe. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He was 3 for 4 last night. A couple of doubles. Tonight he struck out in the 2nd inning, popped out in the 4th. Blocked by Yan Gomes. Two and 1 to the Twins' third baseman. Eddie Rosario would be next. That one right there for strike 2. Appears Trevor Plouffe is looking for something else than what Cody Anderson's throwing.
Sometimes when you get a veteran hitter up there and he'll look for a certain pitch in a certain count. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to swing it. And he guessed wrong that time. It's better than looking for a pitch and not getting it and still swinging at it. But look at that. He fought that one off
Nice job by Kipnis to hustle the hole, make the throw, and Chris Johnson scoops it up out of bounds. So the Indians are through 6 with a 6-0 lead, thanks in large part to this man, Cody Anderson. He's been strong. The Indians have the lead. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. We head to the 7th inning here in Minneapolis. The Indians leaders 6-0. Cody Anderson has scattered 7 hits by the Minnesota Twins. And boy, a typical strong Cody Anderson performance tonight.
Well, once again, he goes out there and just does his thing. It's fun to watch.
Quells any rally the Twins appear to have started. It'll be Chisenhall, Johnson, and Almonte for the Tribe here in the 7th. Hitters 6, 7, and 8. Lonnie with the big 2-out, 2-run base hit in the 1st inning to increase the lead from 1-0 to 3-0. Jason Kipnis led off the game with a solo home run. He just felt like the Indians took momentum that early. And sometimes, Rick, we've talked about it. Sometimes the big hit of the night can come very early in the game.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times it does. When it gets the Indians a lead early, they seem to be like a different ball club when they're not playing from behind, and they have all year long. But a 2-out base hit early, like Chisenhall got today in the 1st inning, that played very well. And then you always love 3-run homers, regardless.
Santana with the 3-run blast in the 3rd. As Trevor Plouffe has gone to stand just to the second base side of second, the third baseman with 2 strikes on Chisenhall.
Yeah, every team has their own way to defend. They send their third baseman over to the right side of the infield.
Lonnie trying to go the other way, sends it foul. Chisenhall fights off another. Michael Tonkin working into his 2nd inning of relief. Chris Johnson will be next. Twins have used 5 pitchers tonight. Chisenhall pops that one straight up on the infield. That's the shortstop, Eduardo Escobar. 1 out here in the 7th inning. We are on the countdown to face-off for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Opening night against the New York Rangers, only 15 days away. On the home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio. Columbus 12-0-1 to end last season. They'll take that streak into the season opener and see if they can build on it. 15 days away.
Well, they had an exhibition game today, I think.
Chris Johnson hit it hard, but right at Escobar, who makes the one-handed catch, 2 outs. Now, the Indians have 9 hits tonight. Some of the outs have been loud as well.
Yeah, sometimes you hit the ball and it's an atom ball, just like this one was for Johnson. You can't steer it. All you can do is hit it hard.
It's a great, I like that. Right, you can't steer it.
Well, when you hit line drives at people and then you come into the dugout and the guys go, hang with them. Yeah, right. You get sick of hearing that. You'd rather break your bat and find a hit. That's Absolutely. What you want. But your goal when you get in there is put up a quality at bat, hit it hard, and hope it finds grass.
Here's Almonte, 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. He's down on the count, 0-2. Story for Abe tonight defensively was that first inning when runners were at first and third, nobody out. Joe Mauer a fly ball to center, and he threw out Aaron Hicks after catching the fly ball and tried to score when he tagged up. It's a good throw and a good tag by Yan Gomes. Monte straight to center.
There you go.
Right at Hicks.
Adam.
Wow, the Indians, a couple of hard hits.
Hang with them.
But no base hits here in the top of the 7th. Still, the Indians are in the lead, 6-0. Time now for the 7th inning. Nothing, bottom of the 7th inning. Stay tuned after the game for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Dave Chudowski, Jensen Lewis will have a complete recap on this one. They'll take you around the majors as well. Learn from the skipper Terry Francona, so every reason to stay right here on Sports Time Ohio. Rosario, Hunter, and Suzuki for the Twins here in the 7th. Rosario first pitch swing. Pop foul straight back and out of play.
This guy likes to swing the bat.
Yes, he does. Like our old friend Carlos Baerga. I mean,
yeah,
he liked to hit
never met a pitch he didn't. Never met a pitch he didn't like. But you know that's how he struck out his last at bat. He had a fish at one in his eyes.
Well, he doesn't have a hit in the series yet.
Well, you know, the funny thing, you can't teach young guys. You don't want to give them too much discipline. He's a rookie. He's going to learn the strike zone a little better. But when you have like 17 doubles, 14 triples, 11 homers, he's hitting something very well.
Fly out to Almonte for the first out. Just like we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Speaking of Almonte, how about this play in the first?
Nice one-hop throw. Double play, 8-2. Kept him off the board from responding to the 3-run first on a beautiful throw right there.
Torrey under to left field. Forget about that one. second deck. Twins are on the board. Solo shot for Hunter. His 22nd home run of the season.
It's the 9th home run given up by Anderson. Looked like Hunter got a changeup, and he didn't miss it. Torrey Hunter, his 22nd home run. And take a look at the pitch. Yes, it was. Gives him some swinging room right into the barrel of the bat, and that got out of here in a hurry. So the Twins on the board. It's a 6-1 game.
That'll bring Kurt Suzuki to the plate with one out here in the bottom of the 7th. Suzuki 2 for 2 with a couple of singles. Swings at the first pitch and grounds it to Francisco Lindor. Got the friendly hop and throws him out. 2 down. The Twins 7th. We're on the road to glory in high school football this Friday night at Finney Stadium. Midview visits Berea Mid Park. Jeff Phelps, Frank Stams, Ryan Cavanaugh will bring you all the action on Friday night, 11:30 after Indians Live on Sports Time Ohio. A couple of undefeateds. Both Midview and Berea Mid Park are 4-0. So make sure you stick around after the Tribe game tomorrow night for that. Eduardo Escobar with 2 outs. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Blew out to right in the 3rd. Singled in the 5th and singles here in the 7th inning.
Looked like a curveball. A rare curveball. He gets a base hit. Well, there it is. He's on the phone to the bullpen. Let's see. I thought it was a curveball. Yes, it is. He left that one upstairs a little bit. He's able to pull it through the hole. So now Mickey Callaway is going to go out and just have a talk and slow down Cody Anderson so they can get that bullpen going.
Both teams have 9 hits tonight. The difference is the Indians, of course, have the 6 runs to the Minnesota Twins 1 they got here in this inning on the Torrey Hunter solo shot. That's one thing you like to see for a young pitcher like Cody Anderson. Even when there's a number of hits off of him, he's still able to work through a number of base runners in traffic situations.
Well, you go back into the 6th inning, the leadoff single, he got the double play ball from Mauer, and then they give up another base hit, so there's 2 in that inning. They had 2 hits in the 1st inning, in the 5th inning, 6th inning, and 7th inning. So, you know, and they're starting to get an idea what he likes to throw, and you know, the change up in the breaking balls in this inning is where they got the hits on.
Shaw and Crockett getting loose in the Indians bullpen. Aaron Hicks the batter. 2 outs and a runner at first. He'll take strike 1 from Cody Anderson. Delivered his 88th pitch of the night. 65 of those for strikes, 74%. That one in the air, foul, and it will make it to the seats. So it's quickly 0-2 to Aaron Hicks. One and 2 to the Twins center fielder. Brian Dozier would be next. Cody Anderson would love to get Hicks and get out of this inning right here. Two and 2. base hit. Chisenhall gets it quickly. On his way to third base is Escobar. Throw cut off. They'll throw back to first, but Hicks is back there. Now the Twins have something going with 2 outs. Runners at the corners for Brian Dozier.
Well, he came back and this fastball was right down the middle. He was ahead of 0-2. He threw a couple of balls, and watch the location here. This is center cut. And that's what hitters do when you throw a ball down the middle, and that's going to be it for Cody Anderson. Tito's going to take that walk to the mound, and his night will be over. 3 hits in the inning.
So Cody Anderson goes 6 2/3 tonight. Surrenders 10 hits. Thus far, 1 run. Both runners on base, his responsibility. And Brian Shaw will come on to try and close out the 7th inning for the Tribe. We'll be back after this. Astros square off in a Lone Star showdown for AL West supremacy. Then the Brewers take on the NL Central leading Cardinals in a game you can see only on FS1. Coverage starts Saturday, 12:30 Eastern on Fox. It continues at 6:30 Eastern on FS1. So Brian Shaw on, and this Minnesota crowd getting into it for really the first time tonight. Runners at the corners with 2 away for Brian Dozier. 1 run already in here in the 7th on a Torrey Hunter solo home run. Strike 1 to Dozier with the off speed. Brian Shaw with 22 holds on the season leads the club, 7th in the American League. This is his 70th appearance of the season to also lead the team. One and one to Dozier, who's 2 for 3 tonight with an infield single. You see what he's done against Shaw. Not much success, but the one hit is a long ball.
Well, that's if Brian Shaw keeps it upstairs. You keep it down around your knees, he's not going to take you out.
Lines that one to left center. Almonte moving over. He'll make the catch. And the Indians get out of the inning without any further damage. So Torrey Hunter, a solo homer. But that's it for Minnesota. Cleveland still in the lead. 6-1 now. reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. We go to the 8th inning, and for the third consecutive time, Mike Aviles will lead off an inning for the Tribe. He's 0 for 3 tonight. It'll be Aviles, Kipnis, and Ramirez. Hitters 9-1 and 2. Facing Michael Tonkin. Will work into his third inning of relief. Kyle Gibson surrendered all 6 runs tonight. He was gone after 2 2/3 innings. 6 runs on 7 hits. As Mike Aviles looks at ball 1 from Tonkin. There's Cody Anderson. Things remain as they are. He's in line to get the win tonight. Two 2-0 to Aviles. Starting in left field for the second consecutive evening with Michael Brantley out. Mike hits that one on the nose, but Aaron Hicks able to track it down. So the Indians have hit some pretty good balls against Tonkin, but nothing to show for it thus far.
They've been at one of the defenders, no doubt.
Now here's what Jason Kipnis did to lead off the game. His 9th home run of the season, 4th time this year that he's led off the game with a solo home run. And that's it for Tonkin. 6th Twins pitcher coming in. We saw him last night. Here's Neil Kotz. We'll talk more about him in just a few moments as we step aside. 6-1 Tribe. One Tribe, Neil Kotz, the 6th pitcher tonight for Minnesota. He comes on here in the 8th inning. He'll face Kipnis, and Jose Ramirez will follow. Jason Kipnis 1 for 2. He's been on base 3 times today. Solo homer, hit by pitch, and a walk. They have pitched Kipnis inside for most of this series, it appears.
They hit him one time today in the hand trying to go inside when he had an 0-2 count. Well, they know he can serve that ball to left center field or left field and hit doubles.
Skip a little late on that one. It's 1-2. Check to swing. 2-2 to Kipnis with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Indians with 3 runs in the first, 3 runs in the third, courtesy of a Carlos Santana 3-run blast. And they have the 6-1 lead. On the ground to Mauer. 2 outs. So here's Jose Ramirez, who's had a nice night as well. He's reached base 3 or 4 times tonight. 1 for 2 at Badwise. Scored a couple of runs. Hit a double back in the 3rd inning. To Ramirez. Don't see anyone up in the Tribe bullpen, so most likely Brian Shaw will come out to pitch the 8th. We'll see Mauer, Sano, and Plouffe. Ramirez to left field, hit it well. Rosario back though, and he'll make the catch. So Jose Ramirez done a nice job tonight at the plate, but can't come up with a hit there. Indians up 6-1, bottom of the 8th next. Bottom of the 8th here at Target Field. Plenty of Indians fans here tonight. I've seen a lot of them. They're happy thus far. The Indians have a 6-1 lead. Hitters 3, 4, and 5 for the Twins. Mauer, Sano, and Plouffe. Mauer's hit into 2 double plays tonight. The unconventional 8-2 and then a 4-6-3. Right. It's also lined out to Cody Anderson. So each of his outs have been more than the routine this evening. Brian Shaw, who came on in relief of Anderson. 2 outs in the 7th and got out of it. Will open the 8th inning here. He's behind Mauer 2-0. Joe Mauer's career, he's a .317 hitter in the month of September.
Used to be he'd hit 300 every month.
Yeah.
You know, this guy, when he first came up, boy, I mean to tell you, when he played inside in that dome on that turf, he was one tough out.
And from the catcher position, too, when you can have a catcher produce like that.
Well, plus he could go the opposite field in that dome and hit homers. Him and Morneau, you know, they moved into this field, you know, originally, and the ball wasn't carrying the left center field like it did over there. And it made a huge difference. It crushed these guys.
Bauer ahead in the count here. Just off the plate for ball 4, so the Twins, the leadoff man on here in the 8th with a walk.
Well, continues his streak to 43 consecutive games, the longest in Twins and Senators history. 43 consecutive games. He did it in his last at bat probably tonight with the walk.
Here's Miguel Sano, the designated hitter. 1 for 3 tonight. Singled his last time up back in the 6th. He takes strike 1 for Brian Shaw. Hard on the ground is short. Lindor to second for 1. Kipnis the turn, but a wide throw to first. Yan Gomes backing it up, so they erase the lead runner. Mauer at second. Sano safe at first. So 1 out here in the 8th inning. Sano trades places with Mauer at first base, and Trevor Plouffe will be the hitter. Plouffe had all 3 of his hits in this series last night when he was 3 for 4. Perfect bunt. Tough play for Gomes, but he makes a nice one as he rifles it to first base. And Trevor Plouffe is out number 2 as Miguel Sano advances to second.
Gomes did a nice job of getting out from behind home plate to make that play look pretty easy. He got down there. That was like a perfect bunt. I mean, you watch him jump out from behind home plate. Shaw thought he was going to get there, but Gomes says, get out of my way. I'll spin, I'll throw. Had his footwork all together and made it look easy. So they get the second out.
So Sano in scoring position for Eddie Rosario, but now there are 2 outs. And strike 1 to the Twins left fielder, who's 0 for 3 tonight with a couple of strikeouts, and 0 for the series. Drive foul. 1-2 now to Eddie Rosario. Brian Shaw looks to erase the Twins here in the 8th inning without any runs across. And fouled straight back off the screen. Now the Royals Orioles are up 6-3 over Seattle at the bottom of the 7th. So if that holds up and this holds up, Kansas City clinches the AL Central tonight.
And they still have an opportunity to add on right now. They have the bases loaded, 1 out there in the bottom half of the 7th. So they look like they're in command.
Earlier today, the Orioles won again. They beat the Nationals 5-4. Rosario deep to right field. Chisenhall going back. Chisenhall looking up, and it's out of here. 2-run homer, Eddie Rosario. And the Twins have pulled to within 3.
It looked like he kept his hands back on that ball. And I mean, hit it high and hit it deep. Surprising. I want to see this pitch. Looked like he was out front. It was the breaking ball. Look at that ball down. Oh. Kept his hands back nicely. And got that right out in front. And that ball had some carry to it. So the 2-run homer makes it a 6-3 ball game for Rosario, his 12th home run.
Torrey Hunter homered his last time up, comes up here and lines out to Jason Kipnis. So the Twins are done in the 8th, but they get a couple more. We'll head to the 9th. 6-3 try. After the ball game on Indians Live. Brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Complete wrap on this one. They'll take you around the majors as well. 7th Twins pitcher of the night on J.R. Graham.
Yeah, when your starter goes just 2 2/3 innings, you're looking at a 5 or 6 pitcher coming out of the bullpen, especially when they have a dozen in there. So Graham on for the 37th time this year. He's going to be facing Lindor, Santana, and Gomes.
So it's the heart of the Indians' order as they try to maybe get a little bit more insurance here in the lead 6-3. He delivers strike 1 to Lindor. Graham, the 6th relief pitcher tonight. Rick, remember back when you played, generally there would be 10 guys on a pitching staff.
10 pitchers,
right.
Yeah, right.
So you'd have 5 relievers and that was it.
Well, some clubs would go with 9 too. But different game now. Specialization and bullpens now. Everybody carries 7. Some guys may carry 8.
Now it seems you had a backup in the field at pretty much every position. You know, you had a backup first baseman, a backup third baseman. Now those are utility roles.
Well, yes, guys now play. You have to play more than one position if you're going to make a team, especially the middle part of the infield. and the outfield.
Oh, 2 to Lindor. He's had a good night tonight. 3 for 4, a couple of singles and a triple. Also 2 runs scored. Frankie's got the average up to 322. And he strikes out looking. And he was not happy with the call either. Let's take a look at our Pat O'Brien play of the game. Carlos Santana back here in the 3rd inning, a 3-run homer that right now this is the difference in tonight's ball game. That's the Pat O'Brien play of the game. As Carlos comes to the plate here in the 9th inning. Nice to see a replay of that.
That home run for Santana tied him for the most here in this ballpark as a visiting ball player. Jose Bautista with Toronto.
They both have 11. Carlos just 2 for 11 in this series, but both hits have been homers.
Well, actually, the Minnesota Twins have done a nice job on Santana this year as a team.
Fouls that one straight back.
He was hitting just 182 coming into today. So he hit his 3rd home run and he has 14 RBIs. So he's still under the 200 mark.
Santana with 5 RBI in this series as well. Three and 1 to Carlos with 1 out here in the 9th inning. Indians trying to build on this 6-3 lead. Looking ahead to the 9th for Minnesota, Suzuki, Escobar, and Hicks are due up. And Cody Allen is getting loose in the bullpen, so we'll see the Tribe closer in the 9th. Meanwhile, Carlos Santana works a walk, his 2nd of the night, so he's aboard with 1 out here in the 9th inning. And Michael Martinez will pinch run for Carlos. So now Martinez at first base for Yan Gomes, who was 1 for 4 tonight. He had a single back in the 3rd inning. Flew out his last time up to right field. Takes strike 1 from J.R. Graham. One and 1, and now Yan Gomes. Asking Bruce Dreckman about that pitch. Make it 0-2. Swing and a miss. So Gomes is the 2nd strikeout victim of the 9th inning. 2 outs for Lonnie Chisenhall. And Lonnie back in the 1st inning. Rick a big base hit here with 2 outs and 2 on. He brings them both in to increase the score from 1-0 to 3-0.
Yeah, they maximized that inning right there to put a crooked number on the board.
It's Lonnie's only hit of the night. He's 1 for 4, but that was a big one. Hit the ball hard back in the 5th inning, lined out to the second baseman. One and one to Lonnie. The ground back to the mound. Graham a little trouble fielding it, but recovers in plenty of time. Chisenhall, the drive, retired in the 9th. We'll head to the bottom half. Cody Allen coming on for the save. Indians in the lead, 6-3. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Well, first key was score some runs. Indians did that. 3 in the 1st, 3 in the 3rd, so they've gotten 6 here. And avoid the Twins' big inning. Thus far, they've done that too. Cody Anderson, a solid effort as a starter, 6 2/3 innings. He's in line to get the win if Cody Allen can get the save here. Cody this year, 31 for 35 in save opportunities.
Yeah, looking for save number 32 tonight. You got the 3-run lead. He's going to face 8, 9, and 1 in the Minnesota lineup. It looks like we're going to get a pinch hitter for Suzuki here. Let me see. Is that Nunez coming out? And Escobar will be the second hitter.
Eduardo Nunez on deck there. So it appears he will bat for Kurt Suzuki. Had a pretty nice night, 2 for 3. It'll be Nunez. He'll lead it off. Here's the numbers on Nunez this year. First pitch from Cody Allen, a strike down the middle. Indians looking to avoid the sweep here tonight and head to Kansas City on a winning note. One and one to Nunez. Be with you tomorrow night. For Indians live at 7:30 to get you set for the Tribe and Royals. First pitch at 8. Swing and a miss.
Pretty good heater right there in the inner part of the plate.
6 runs on 9 hits tonight for the Tribe. 3 runs on 11 hits for the Minnesota Twins. On the ground to third. Ramirez on the run. Low throw. Johnson scoops it out.
Wow, nice pick.
Boy, what a scoop for Chris Johnson, and the Indians retire that all-important leadoff hitter here in the ninth.
You're not kidding. Boy, Ramirez had to come up with it and get rid of it quickly. That's why the erratic throw, but a beautiful pick here by Johnson in the dirt. He comes up with it. As Nunez goes on the bag, almost got him on the foot, but that was a very nice pick.
So 1 away here in the ninth for Eduardo Escobar, who's 2 for 3, couple of singles. Singled in the 5th, singled in the 7th. Ramirez in on the infield grass at third. Escobar's had a good month of September, hitting .316. One and one now to the Twins shortstop. Off the handle. Lindor makes the catch for the second out. So 2 outs as we go back to the top of the order, and Aaron Hicks. Cody Allen 1 out away from his 32nd save. Again, stay tuned after the game for Dave and Jensen. They'll have Indians live for you from our Cleveland studios. Complete highlight package on this one. We'll have the skipper, Terry Francona. Analysis on tonight's key moments, and there were several. As Aaron Hicks looks at ball 1. Well, some of the fans give it up as they head for the exits.
Well, they realize they're down to their last out.
One and one to Aaron Hicks. 2 for 4 tonight, doubled in the first inning, singled in the 7th. Good pitch by Cody Allen. He's 1 strike away. Hicks able to check there.
Nice.
Strike 3 called. The ball game is over. Indians a winner tonight in Minneapolis. 6-3 the final. Cody Anderson the win. Cody Allen the save as the Codys bookended. And the Tribe will head to Kansas City on a winning note with the victory here tonight over the Twins.
Well, good ball game today. They got out early, jumped on top with 3 in the first. They added 3 more in the third, and you know they're a good team when they play from in front. It was the first time they were able to do that in the series.
Indians scored 3 in the first, 3 in the third, and 6 runs tonight. Plenty for the Tribe as Cody Anderson improves to 5-3. Kyle Gibson, the loser, he's 10-11. Cody Allen, his 32nd save. And the Indians will gain a half game in the wild card standings, now 4 behind the Houston Astros, who were idle today, as were the Angels. However, the Orioles are a half game in front of the Tribe. They won earlier over the Washington Nationals. But a complete look at that and much more coming up on Indians Live, the post game. And Rick, this was a much needed win for this Tribe ball club.
No question about it. There's no way you can come in here and get swept, and they did not. But they're going to end up going to Kansas City, and it looks like Kansas City's going to clinch tonight. You know, because they're beating Seattle 7-3. So with the Twins' loss and that win, they will clinch the Central Division.